Hello friends! So today I wanted to talk about another crazy story that happened to me when I was 20 years old. You might know that I am French, but at 20 years old I ended up in Cuba and I ended up being invited to play on stage with one of the most famous salsa band. That was an incredible memory. So I will let you know how it happened, and I am sharing this story to show you that anything can happen if you are prepared for it, if you do your homework, if you study. When opportunities comes, you are actually ready to embrace them and build incredible stuff like that. So what happened is that when I was 15, 16 years old, that's when things started to get serious for me regarding music. I decided that this is what I wanted to do. So this is when I started to study piano 10 hours a day. I was actually studying both jazz and classical music at the same time. And I did a workshop at 16 years old with somebody who became my mentor. His name is Olivier Congar. Huge respect for this person. He's one of the top specialists of Cuba and Cuban culture, Cuban music in Europe. And I was fortunate to have him living not too far from me. So I ended up spending a huge amount of time with him. And what I was doing is pretty much going in his library of songs and albums, and I was taking the albums one by one to study them, to transcribe them. If you don't know what is transcribing, this is pretty much you take an album and you rewrite on sheet music absolutely everything. So this is how jazz players get good at what they do. They study Charlie Parker, Herbie Hancock, whoever whoever you want, and you rewrite everything they did, and this is your way of digesting music knowledge, basically. So I did that for jazz, but also Cuban music. I transcribed hundreds of salsa music albums. It's crazy. And what happened is that 2 years later, I went to Cuba with my mentor, and we were actually living with some of the most famous musicians of the island, and also the families who represent the tradition, the music tradition of Cuba. So really deep stuff, because they are representing the African music in Cuba, the religious music. So this is really, really, really deep stuff, and you go back to the roots. And I feel extremely fortunate to have been able to be around that. Because when you live that, you suddenly feel that you are around some kind of truth, and this is the complete opposite of coming to Hollywood and being around people who mostly don't know what they're doing and who are not knowledgeable at all. That's pretty hilarious to me that I've been able to live both, and I feel very, very fortunate and very happy to have been able to live that in Cuba. So, incredible weeks over there in Cuba. I was meeting with some of my music idols, and one day my mentor came to me with another friend from Cuba. His name was Carlos El Bola Betancourt. He is one of the most famous trumpet player and music director from Cuba. He was music director and trumpet player for all the most famous bands in Cuba. And he became a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. His name was El Bola because he had his lips were actually sculpted, because he was playing trumpet so hard, he had like a ball on his lips. The lips were transformed in something really weird. You could see the thing of the trumpet on his lips. It's just really crazy. So unfortunately he passed away, but he introduced me to the music director and pianist of Bamboleo, legendary salsa band from Cuba. Took a few pictures with them, and Lazaro Valdez, that's his name, was like, "Hey, we're playing tonight. Do you want to come play with us?" And I was like, "What? What? Sure." So wow. So at night, I actually went there, and the first shock I had was to see the crowd really interacting with the band. You know, in rich countries, you don't really see people moving or, you know, like more shy and stuff like that. But in Cuba, like there's some music going on, it's gone. Like people go nuts, you know. And so the concert starts. I was on stage right behind Lázaro Valdez. I was shaking, you know. I knew that at some point he was going to call me to improvise, play, whatever. Oh my God. So it happened, like, you know, maybe 15 minutes after the start of the concert, he's like, hey, come here. And boom, he leaves me with the keyboards, and I'm like, holy crap. So I am with Bamboleo on stage at 20 years old, one of the most famous salsa band in Cuba, playing with them, shaking. I could barely play. I did just okay, you know, but I was stressed out. You have no idea. You have no idea. But what saved me is that I actually studied a lot of their songs, and I knew a lot of their songs. So I was able, you know, to follow, and that's it, you know. So my friends took some pictures. I actually have a recording of it on a very old recorder in France. I could certainly get it. But I mean, it's incredible. I'm a French countryside guy who ended up in Cuba with like on stage with one of the most famous salsa band. I mean, this is the kind of memories that, you know, is just so cool, right? But once again, you know, before going to Cuba, this is what I want to show you, is that I spent 3 years, I was studying piano really hard, but also I was studying salsa music really hard. So I was already an expert of that field before going there. So see, I was there was an opportunity, and I was able to grab it because I worked on my craft, you know. And nowadays, in 2017, I feel that so few people actually are willing to work on their craft. I do not like the fact that I see a lot of low quality stuff in my field, in music, but in general, because I often talk about the fact that society likes instant gratification nowadays. And if you want to build something strong, soulful, with meaning, it takes a lot of work, patience, dedication, all that stuff, you know. It's super, super important. And I think then you're able to live these incredible moments. It's just unbelievable, you know, and that's pretty much it. So after the concert, the next day, I was kind of like the star in the neighborhood, because all the kids are dreaming to be either a musician or into sports, because at the time, it was one of the only ways to get out of Cuba, because everybody knows that in Cuba, you don't make any money, or very few people, you know. There's a lot of corruption going on, but most people don't make any money. The best salaries, I don't know how it is now, but when I was there, the best salaries were $20 a month for doctors. This is the reality. So for kids, the only way for them to dream about having a good life was to leave Cuba and either making music or becoming an athlete, to be able to leave Cuba, maybe go on tour and leave Cuba and never come back, because they were not allowed at the time, you know. So, you know, I was in the neighborhood, and everybody knew that I played with that band. So that was crazy. They were all around me, like, yeah, this was and my friends, of course, they were like, damn, man, it's so cool. It's already so cool to come to Cuba and live that, but to play with that band, holy crap. So that's it, you know. This is one of the highlights of my music career, and the most unusual things I did. Very often people ask me, you know, people know that I worked with all these famous artists and stuff, and people often ask me which artist I prefer to work with, or like, you know, my favorite artists and stuff like that. And everybody is expecting me to say that, you know, to give a very famous name. And it's not the case at all, actually. My favorite moments in music were actually, for example, in Cuba, playing with these incredible people. Because I was feeling that I was close to the truth, to soulful stuff, to historical stuff. This is why I often talk about artists like Erykah Badu, because, or even Anthony Hamilton, like Anthony is right here and right here. Because to me, they don't lie, and you feel it, you know. And this is a problem I see in pop music too much, is that there's no depth, especially nowadays. I think there was much more soul in pop music than nowadays. There's not much depth left, and that is a problem for me, you know. I think you really manage to touch people when there's some elements of soul, truth, life. This is how you touch people. And I think there's a reason why Adele did so well with her first album. It's because she was very honest about what she was doing, and people felt that. And you actually can see it in the amount of sales. Like, you know, it touched a lot of people around the world. Much more than a lot of other artists. Actually, you can't even compare. She sold so much. But that's it. I think when you put, like, you're really honest, you're really good at what you do, that's a great way to touch people in unique ways, you know. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to share this experience, very unique. I share these experiences to show you that anything is possible, absolutely anything, you know. And for me, it's all about becoming the best possible at what I do, so that if there's an opportunity comes, I can embrace it and make incredible moments happen, touch people, and the largest amount of people possible. That's it. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I've been doing a lot of speaking and mentoring for top education companies around the world, education companies, music companies. So you can check it out on my other videos. And that's it. If you want to get in touch with me, go on my website. All the informations are here. And that's pretty much it. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. Oops, it's here. Subscribe, and I will keep sharing these unique stories because it's unique, because I think it's worth talking about. And yeah, this is inspirational content, you know. I think it's good, and I'm certainly looking forward to many more adventures. I like adventures, so we'll see what comes next. Okay, all right, talk to you soon, guys. Later.